Uber didn't just change how we get around, it also hid something much worse. A workplace where sexual harassment happened again and again.
In February, former engineer Susan Fowler wrote a blog post alleging repeated sexual harassment and sexism inside the 12,000-person company.
And then he told me that he was in an open relationship, he was looking for women to have sex with, and I was like, oh my God.
You know Uber, the app in your hand, the ride at your doorstep, the food delivered to your couch. A tap and a car would be on its way in minutes. No more calling in 1-800 taxi line, waiting forever just hoping a cab would show up. You could do it all right from your phone. It wasn't just a new service, it changed everything. It revolutionized how we moved around cities, making life easier, faster, more convenient.
It all started as a ride-sharing app, and it's exploded into a global force disrupting the entire transportation industry.
It shook up an entire industry, giving millions of people flexible ways to earn money.
I drive 5 hours each day, and I consistently make over $300 for my time.
Uber became a global giant, a symbol of modern convenience, a true game changer. But what if I told you that behind this incredible revolution, behind all that convenience and innovation, there was a shocking, ugly truth? A dark secret buried deep within the company that changed everything.
What is so striking about this set of allegations is that the crime was bad, but that the cover-up was worse.
This isn't about small problems. This is about a major issue, with sexual harassment happening right inside Uber itself. In 2017, an engineer named Susan Fowler worked there, and she wrote something that exploded across the internet. It was her story, raw and painful. She said her boss did something completely out of line, and this was on her first day on the job. She immediately told HR, and you know what they said?
So HR does an investigation, they come back, they say, we investigated, yes, he was propositioning you, yes, this was sexual harassment. However, this is his first offense, he's a high performer, we don't feel comfortable punishing him, we've given him a stern talking to.
Her safety and comfort came second to someone's job. And it kept happening. More problems, more silence. But Susan's story wasn't just hers. When she spoke up, hundreds of other women who worked at Uber said, "Me too."
Oh my gosh, like I'm not alone. And all of these women and all these men were sending me messages about things that had happened to them. And they were saying like, we can't stand out and say what happened to us.
They had faced similar, terrible things. And here's where it gets real. This wasn't just a few bad apples. If you complained, nothing happened. If you reported problems, you often got moved, not the person causing trouble.
You know, this is not just an individual instance problem. There are no checks and balances. This is a cultural, systemic problem throughout the whole company.
It was all about winning and making money, no matter what.
And when stories like Susan's and so many others started to come out, showing just how little ethics and respect truly mattered, the people using the app, the consumers, they started a huge online campaign called #DeleteUber. Millions of people deleted the app. Uber's name was being dragged through the mud. Finally, Uber had to do something. They launched a massive investigation.
Uber is scrambling to investigate a new sexual harassment claim by a former engineer.
The investigation, led by former Attorney General Eric Holder, confirmed that sexual harassment and gender discrimination were widespread and deeply ingrained throughout the company. It wasn't one, quote, villain doing all the bad things. It was a systemic problem, tolerated and sometimes even enabled by leaders. Instead of being held accountable, many people accused of serious misconduct were simply shuffled to other departments, reinforcing the idea that bad behavior was acceptable, especially if you were high up. Because of this, lots of people got fired, even some big bosses, for their part in this toxic culture. And the main man, Travis Kalanick, the founder, the very person who built Uber into this giant, as the leader, he was held responsible for the culture that allowed all of this to happen. Even he couldn't dodge this one. The pressure was too immense. He had no choice but to step down. With their leader gone and the world watching, Uber faced a choice: keep going the same messy way or truly change. This whole crisis forced them to look hard in the mirror, and they started working to make the company a genuinely safer, more respectful place for everyone. While Uber was trying to fix things inside the company, another dark problem was growing outside.
Investigation reveals more than 100 Uber drivers have been investigated for sexual assault.
It was happening in the rides themselves. Stories began surfacing from passengers, especially women, sharing terrifying experiences during their rides.
Grabbed my wrists and tried to force himself on me and kneed him in the stomach as hard as I could.
Think maybe he had put something in my drink. I can remember bits and pieces, pushing him off of me, asking him to stop touching me, to leave me alone.
In city after city, lawsuits and news reports started piling up. In Los Angeles, a passenger reported that her Uber driver locked the doors and refused to let her out, making her feel trapped until she managed to escape. In Chicago, a rider came forward saying she was assaulted in the back seat of an Uber on her way home from a party. By 2019, hundreds of riders had come forward in the United States alone. The scale of the problem got so big that in 2019, Uber itself had no choice but to release a safety report.
The company is publicly releasing its own data on sexual assaults. This is a company that received nearly 6,000 reports between 2017 and 2018.
6,000. And those are just the cases that were reported. Behind that clean interface and the 5-star drivers, there's a long, painful history of people who were hurt, ignored, and silenced. And while the company says it's trying to change, the scars of what happened, both inside the company and on the streets, will take years to heal.